Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Friday, June the 17th, and welcome to our video commentary. I have to tell you something. Every so often, you have to come to the conclusion that God has a sense of humor. And this that I'm about to tell you right now, I think falls in that because on this day in 1943, two people, completely different people, were born on this day in 1943. They both celebrate their 79th birthday today. On one hand, Newt Gingrich, obviously a man that most of us know as is not only a politician, but he's turned really into a pretty good statesman. You know, he's an author, he's a columnist, he's a writer. He's a person that I trust a great deal and I listen to a great deal. So that's Newt Gingrich, happy number 79. And then happy number 79 to Barry Manilow, the great musician from the late 70s, I guess 1980s, who wrote and recorded some of the great songs of our generation, Copacabana and a bunch of others that in many ways defined the disco era many years ago. But he was a great entertainer, very talented. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but Barry Manilow began his musical career writing commercials. If you go to YouTube, there's a video of Barry Manilow singing a bunch of commercials that you've all listened to, like State Farm, Alka-Seltzer, a bunch of others that he wrote. And they became famous. But those are compositions by Barry Manilow. So I tell you, Barry Manilow and Newt Gingrich, about as different of two people as you will ever find, born on this day in 1943. So, as I said, God has a sense of humor when he does something like that. I think, by the way, Gingrich, I no longer think of Newt as a politician because I think he's outgrown that. And he's really right now he's a real statesman right now. And he's an author and he's got a foundation and he's got a lot of things going. And when he speaks, I listen because I think he understands what's happening in the country at the moment. So happy number 79 to Newt Gingrich and to Barry Manilow. I mean, they don't get any more different than that, but they were born on this day in 1943. I think that's pretty cool. I have a post over at the American Thinker today about Watergate plus 50. Look, you're going to hear a lot about Watergate. Watergate happened, and no one's defending Richard Nixon. He made some very bad mistake. His biggest mistake was that he tried to protect his own people. Nixon himself was never involved in any of this, but unfortunately, he did try to protect his own people. And in the way he covered up things, and that's what got him in trouble, the cover up, not the actual crime. I mean, Watergate itself was just a stupid break-in into an office. But that's not what got him in trouble. What got him in trouble was the cover up. Had he dealt with it right away and fired these people right away and dealt with it in the summer of 72, that this whole thing would have never become anything. But it was what it was. But clearly, since Watergate, we have seen things done by administrations that frankly make Watergate look like a G-rated movie. And one of those is the Hillary Clinton campaign and the entire Russia thing that was put on the American people by a very compliant news media that was willing to go along with it. So a lot of things have happened. And that's why when a lot of people look at Watergate now 50 years later, they go, no, I'm not going to defend what Nixon did. But a lot of other things have been done over the years that maybe should not have happened either. But 50 years ago, Watergate, 50 years ago. You know, there's a lot of concern. There's a lot of concern in the Democrat Party over Joe Biden in 2024. And the concern is obvious. I mean, Joe Biden looks like an old man. He looks like somebody that probably should have never run for office in the first place. I think we know now, by the way, why they were hiding him in a basement during the campaign. Remember that he was hiding in the basement during the campaign. They wouldn't let him come out. He wouldn't talk to the media. He would only talk to very selective media people. And I think we know now why, because they were scared to death of putting him behind a microphone. Look at this man. Every time you put him behind a microphone, he gets into more trouble. And then, of course, combined with the situation in the country, a lot of Democrats are scared to death of having Joe Biden around in 2024 as a candidate. Now, they're not real happy with Kamala Harris either, which is the real dilemma of the Democrats. But one of the things you're starting to see right now in this White House, in this Biden White House, is you're starting to see a lot of people walking away, and you're starting to see a lot of people saying goodbye. Now, to be fair, this usually happens after the midterm because, a couple of years in the White House, it's a very demanding job. You work very long hours, and a lot of people get burned out. A lot of people get burned out, and they tend to leave. But in this case, they're leaving a little longer. And I think that's because they know what's coming. They know what's coming. They know that this is a very unsuccessful administration, and they know that it's going to be tough. I don't know where Joe Biden is going to find the people, frankly, to make up his administration. That's something that, as a country, we need to worry about because he's got to put a team together, and he keeps losing members of his team. And at some point, that's going to become an issue for this administration. The January 6th committee has now been around for about a week. They really haven't changed any hearts and minds. They haven't moved the needle one way or the other. If you are like me, you would like to see an investigation of what happened on January the 6th, but you want to see an entire investigation and you want to see both sides represented in this investigation, and that's not what's happening. Like, for example, today they were talking about Vice President Pence. Now, I think, look, we can debate whether Pence had the authority or didn't have the authority. I don't think that he did, frankly. I don't believe that Vice President Pence had the authority to turn down the votes coming from the states. I don't think that he did. But that's been an open issue. I mean, that has been debated before. Back in 2017, when they were counting the votes for the election of Donald Trump in the U.S. Senate, many Democrats wanted Vice President Biden to do the same thing and reject the votes. Now, he didn't, but many Democrats wanted Vice President Biden to do the same thing and reject the votes coming from the states because they were saying that those votes were illegitimate. Some of those Democrats, by the way, like Bernie Thompson and the other fellow Raskin, they're in this committee right now. They're in this committee right now looking at January the 6th. So I think this whole January the 6th investigation up in the Democrats' faces because there's nothing there. There's nothing there that we don't know. And I think it's obvious what the intent is. The intent is to somehow destroy Donald Trump so that he doesn't run again. The problem with that, it's a very stupid strategy. Because if in fact, for example, they were to diminish Donald Trump or hurt Donald Trump politically, that only means that DeSantis would then be running for president. That only means that a bunch of these other governors would then be running for president instead of Donald Trump. And frankly, those are very good governors who I believe would have a very good chance of winning in 2024. So, be careful what you wish for, because destroying Donald Trump may end up actually hurting the Democrats more than they realize, because they'll get other candidates instead of Donald Trump, like Governor DeSantis of Florida and, some of the other very successful Republican governors across the country. I mean, if you look at the map of the United States, where is the success? Where is the economic growth? Where are people moving to? They're moving to Republican states run by these excellent Republican governors who are doing a fantastic job of attracting business into the states. We just heard a few days ago that Caterpillar, one of the world's largest companies, one of the most successful and oldest companies based in Illinois, is moving to Texas. That's a huge loss for Democrat Illinois. It's obviously a great gain for Republican Texas. But that's the kind of thing that is happening. These businesses are looking around and they're saying, I got to get out of places like Illinois, New York, and California. And where are they going to? They're going to Florida. They're going to Texas. Now there's a company that is also moving to Virginia, because Virginia, now with a Republican governor, is suddenly becoming a very attractive place to do business. So look, the Democrats need to be careful what they wish for, because if they were in fact able to diminish Trump, I don't think they will, but if they're able to do it, they may find themselves in a tougher situation with somebody like DeSantis, who is a very strong presidential candidate if he were to run in 2024. So they got to be careful. They got to be very careful. Be careful what you wish for, as someone said. There have been some attacks and some threats of attacks against pro-life places and pro-life institutions and so on. And I think the Attorney General needs to take this very, very seriously, especially next week when we believe, or in the next couple of weeks, when we believe that Roe v. Wade is going to be overturned. The Attorney General needs to make it very clear that whatever opinion you have about Roe v. Wade does not mean that you should turn around and burn down or attack an abortion pregnancy center or something like that. That's not what we do in the United States, but the Attorney General needs to make that very clear. And this Attorney General has a very selective way of enforcing the law, and it's starting to get people very, very angry. Last but not least, have you been watching CNN lately? Well, you better watch it because you may be seeing the end of it. CNN, by all accounts, is about to do a CNN is having ratings problems that are beyond explanation. Last week, CNN at one point was averaging like about 355,000 people, 355,000 people an hour. And the new management wants to come in and clean up everything. They want to basically say, look, we're sick and tired of being the anti-Trump channel, and we want to become a news channel. Like they used to be. At one time, you go back 20 years or so, CNN was a very respected brand. But something happened to them during the Trump years. They just went crazy being the anti-Trump channel, and they hurt their image, and many of their hosts hurt their image a great deal. And you're going to see some major changes at CNN. And apparently it's coming a lot sooner than you think. So if you like CNN, watch it because it's going to be changing very, very soon and very quickly. Thank you for listening. Once again, let me tell you that we're going to be chatting with our friend Barry Castleman on Friday night. This is going to be our podcast, and we're going to be recording that on Friday night. It'll be available on my blog, and it's also going to be available on my Facebook page, my political page. Remember, I have two pages. I have a personal page, which that's all that it is. And then I have a political page that you can subscribe to or you can participate in. And that's where I'm going to feature the Barry Castleman interview this weekend. So thank you for listening. Enjoy yourself. Have a great weekend. And it's awfully hot here in Texas, I can tell you that, but that's okay. We've had it like this forever. We call it summer. Can you believe that? We call it summer. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Talk to you later.